It's an absolutely gorgeous autumn night in downtown St. Louis, Missouri. Oh, yes, and lots of red inside the new Busch Stadium for Game 4 of this National League Division Series between the champions of the NL West, the Padres, and the champions of the National League Central, the St. Louis Cardinals. And St. Louis looking to close it out and take off for New York. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Tim McCarver, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Playoff Baseball on Fox. Timmy, through the first 3 games of this series, the Padres have pitched well enough to be up 2-1 rather than down 2-1. But the reason they're down, very little offense.
Well, I think everybody thought the Padres would pitch well, and they have, but they've only scored 4 runs in 3 games. I mean, their offense has been deplorable. And get this, a scary 1 for 25 with runners in scoring position.
As far as the Cardinal offense is concerned, they're not exactly knocking the cover off the ball either. And really, we have seen again this postseason, if Albert goes, so go the Redbirds.
Even with Albert Pujols' broad shoulders, it's very difficult to do it all by yourself. He did it, however, in games 1 and 2, but not in games 3. And I think it's pretty clear that Prince Albert needs help from his kingdom tonight.
And Scott Rowland, part of that kingdom, is not in the lineup. He is out at third base with an injured shoulder. Scott Spezio starts in his place. First pitch from St. Louis coming up next on Fox. Sellout crowd at Busch Stadium. And here's the San Diego lineup under Bruce Bochy, brought to you by Hyundai. Dave Roberts in left field, Brian Giles in right, Adrian Gonzalez at first. Josh Bard will start behind the plate. Russell Branyan, the big base hit yesterday in the win, is at third. And Mike Cameron in center. A ladder third of Jeff Blum, the shortstop. Josh Barfield, the rookie, at second. The former Cardinal Woody Williams is on the mound. And starting for St. Louis, their ace, reigning Cy Young Award winner, might win it again this year, Chris Carpenter.
Chris Carpenter is not only a superb pitcher, but he's been a terrific pitcher here in St. Louis. The Padres had 5 hits in the first game they faced him. He gave up 1 run in 6 1/3. 5 hits, all on fastballs. He has a dynamite curveball, and as you said, Tom, he is a legitimate #1 starter.
Before we get this one started, we remind you of Budweiser. This is baseball. This is beer. One of our proud sponsors, and this is the home, of course, of Anheuser-Busch. Dave Roberts to lead things off. One of the few Padres that has swung the bat well so far in this division series. Roberts coming off his best regular season in the big league. He takes a fastball away, and we are underway at the new Busch Stadium. Roberts 6 hits and 11 at-bats, does have a stolen base so far in the first 3 games, and the count even 1-1. Carpenter's primary competition for the National League Cy Young Award this year will be with Arizona starting pitcher Brandon Webb, and perhaps even throw in Trevor Hoffman to the mix and all that he accomplished this season, including becoming baseball's all-time saves king.
Saw where Lee Smith threw out the first pitch the other day in San Diego. What a nice moment. The first time Trevor Hoffman had met the former save king, Lee Smith.
A ball and 2 strikes to Roberts. And there's strike 3 call.
Oh, boy, did Carpenter bust that fastball on the inside corner to Roberts.
Here are tonight's keys to the game, presented by MasterCard.
Any offense for the San Diego Padres is the best offense. And Pujols hits, they win. If you're the Cardinals, if he doesn't, they lose. That's the way it's been so far through the first 3 games.
Right fielder Brian Giles looks at a first pitch fastball in there, strike 1. Giles very quiet again during this postseason. Only 2 hits and 10 at-bats with 1 RBI. This is a guy that's accustomed to hitting 3-4 in the lineup, but the power numbers so far down from where they were in Pittsburgh before coming to pitcher-friendly Petco Park in San Diego. And Giles now finds himself batting in front of Adrian Gonzalez. Breaking ball down and in. Now that's the pitch Carpenter was throwing for strikes in game 1 of this series. It's one thing to throw a good breaking ball, but if you throw them for strikes, you're in business.
That's right.
If you miss, you're in trouble.
As we said, 6 1/3 innings, and none of the 6 hits were on breaking balls.
Bouncing ball up the middle and into center field. A base hit by Giles, his 3rd of this division series.
Funny how that goes. You get into a fastball situation. Giles got a fastball and rips it up the middle. First hit of the ball game.
Now Adrian Gonzalez, what an outstanding year he had. His first as a National Leaguer after coming over from the Rangers. Hit .304 with 24 home runs and 82 batted in. And down the stretch, Gonzalez was not only the best hitter in the San Diego lineup, he was the best hitter in all of baseball the final month and a half of this season. He looks at a strike. Gonzalez, his last 24 games, hit .407. And in those 24 games, scored 18 runs and knocked in 17.
What a deal that was, pulled off by Kevin Towers, the general manager of the Padres. Not only Gonzalez coming to the Padres, but also Chris Young, yesterday's winner.
Threw a fastball right by him. 0-2.
Sometimes you go out there and you just don't have your good stuff. Tonight, Chris Carpenter has good stuff.
Young Dynamite getting the Padres' first victory in this best-of-5 series here at the new Busch Stadium yesterday. 0-2 to Gonzalez. Fly ball short center field. Edmonds coming hard. He won't get there. Giles had to wait to make sure, so he advances 90 feet. And all of a sudden, the Padres, who managed a total of 5 hits against Carpenter in 6+ innings, have back-to-back hits in the first.
Now, sometimes you try to make that real good pitch, 0-2, 1-2, and a guy hits a flare. There's really not a lot you can do about that. You make the good pitch. You hit a guy like Gonzalez on the handle. He's strong enough to dump it in front of Jim Edmonds. So here are the Padres with 2 runners on, just like in yesterday's game when they stranded 14 runners. 14, but won the game.
Josh Bard getting a start behind the plate in place of Mike Piazza tonight. Boy, that catching position has been sensational for the Padres this year. 4th best batting average among all major league teams from their catchers at 300. They had the most home runs if you lump in Piazza's numbers with Rob Bowen and Josh Bard with 31 home runs. And that trio combined to knock in 107 runs.
Wow.
But in this series, only 2 hit among them. 2-0 to Bard. Branyan, the guy who finally broke the string started in this series by San Diego of not getting a single hit with runners in scoring position. It's still their only hit in 25 such at-bats. And now 3-0 to Bard. And Carpenter not throwing the breaking ball for strikes. And it's inside and low ball 4, and they are loaded for the Padres. Timmy, these are chances you have to cash in.
Tony La Russa in the dugout, the Cardinal dugout before the game, telling us that one of the problems that Carpenter has, he takes too much upon himself and tries to do too much. Even with great stuff thus far, I think Chris is guilty of trying to do too much. It's understandable in a game like this.
What does that mean, Timmy? Trying to do too much for a pitcher.
Trying to throw the ball 130 miles an hour instead of 96. When you do that, things become unraveled. The shoulder flies out of there. The arm you lead with the elbow instead of throwing the ball properly. Again, it's proper in postseason play to take a step back, not forward.
Like one to Russell Branyan. who was hitting .201 when he came over in what was a very quiet deal from Tampa Bay. But he's taken over the everyday third base job for the Padres. He hit .292 and has massive power. 1-1. Branyan in game 3. A 2-run double in the 4th inning. And that's all the Padres needed. But can he deliver now? Bases loaded, 1 away in the top of the 1st inning. Strike 2.
One of the problems with Russell Branyan, actually a very good swing, but he doesn't make contact enough. He has struck out about a third of his plate appearances throughout his major league career, and that's not good.
Carpenter looking for the strikeout here. Tried that inside corner and missed. 2-2. Only the 1st inning, but this next pitch, a huge pitch to set the tone for this game. Carpenter does not want to go to 3 balls and 2 strikes and have to pump a fastball in there to Branyan. Does he throw the hook 2-2?
I don't think so.
Fastball high.
Catchers are trained on a 2-2 count to call for the pitch that the pitcher gets over the most. And so far tonight, he hasn't been getting the curveball. On the other hand, if you're Branyan, you got to look fastball here. You're going to get it.
This will be the 21st pitch in this opening inning. The Padres have him loaded with only 1 out and time is called. When Branyan makes contact, there's not a park, and I mean a state park, that can hold his power. And Carpenter has walked in a run. 2 hits, 2 walks, 1-0 San Diego. They're still loaded and still only 1 away.
Padres are saying to themselves, well, if we can't knock in a run, we'll walk in a run.
Doesn't matter how you do it, does it?
No, it doesn't. No pictures, just numbers.
Okay, Giles, the 1-out single to get it all started. Now it's Gonzalez at 3rd, Bard at 2nd, Branyan at 1st for Mike Cameron. 2 hits, including a double, and 10 at-bats in a series. Another guy like Branyan, who is prone to striking out. Ball 1. The bases loaded walk to bring in a run was the first time Chris Carpenter had done that on the mound in a game since 2001.
5 years. Remarkable.
And the crowd can't believe it. This is their guy on the mound tonight, and he is in a world of trouble right from the start. Double play may get him out of the inning. They'll have to hurry. Cameron runs well and legs it out. Gonzalez in from 3rd. It's 2-0 San Diego. A bases loaded walk and a fielder's choice. But again, no pictures, just numbers.
That's right. The hops were too high. Eckstein flipping to Belliard. Pujols tried to help on his end by cheating a bit at first base, but Cameron too fast.
Jeff Blum, the 7th man to bat in the Padres opening inning. They lead 2-0. And Blum looks at a breaking ball down and in. Blum took over for the injured Khalil Green as the San Diego everyday shortstop in August and has done a solid job playing the shortstop position every day for the first time since 2000 in Montreal. A ball and a strike.
Talk about a guy playing with house money. Last year in the World Series for the Chicago White Sox, 14th inning in Houston, a home run to win it for the White Sox. Then they went on to win the next night, 1-0 on the base hit by Jermaine Dye.
Well, here the Padres in 2/3 of an inning have scored half the number of runs that they had scored in the first 3 games of this series. Breaking ball, grounded foul. Carpenter has Blum around the neck at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runners on the corners, 2 away. 1 and 2 on Jeff Blum. Breaking ball, did he go? They appeal, no.
That's 4 curveballs in a row to Blum, and he did not go around. Held up in time. Better angle.
Well, you mentioned earlier on a 2-2 count, the catcher likes to call for the pitch he can deliver with accuracy. And that's a fastball like they called the last time on 2-2, and he missed. And taking second base is Cameron, his first stolen base in the series.
I think it's interesting with the powerful arm of Molina not covering at second base. Eckstein coming over late. And Molina, of course, not throwing. He may get a curveball right here with first base open. Slider.
Rookie Josh Barfield stands in the on-deck circle. The first time either one of these teams have scored in the first 3 innings of this series. 2 big ones for San Diego. Check swing, and apparently he did not go. They appeal again to third, and Jerry Davis agrees with home plate umpire Greg Gibson. That is the 3rd walk here in the opening inning by Carpenter, who is one of the best control pitchers in either league.
Now, the one thing with that happens when you get a lot of runners on base early is you don't have a chance to establish that breaking ball. He's been wild with it. 3 walks in the first inning, 30 pitches. You talk about uncharacteristic and atypical. That is the half inning by Chris Carpenter.
Carpenter in 6 1/3 innings of game 1. Only threw 105 pitches. And here he is knocking on the door at almost 1/3 of that number in the opening inning. And this kid coming up's a good hitter. Josh Barfield, the son of former American League home run king Jesse Barfield. First pitch, Hacken fouls it straight back. And he may have helped Carpenter there. That looked up.
Looked outside, too. But a young hitter with the bases loaded. Yeah, that ball was outside and perhaps up.
Carpenter in the first inning of his 32 starts during the regular season walked a total of 9 batters. He's walked 3 in the first inning tonight. Breaking ball is high. Still can't find that pitch in the strike zone.
I think you got to can it for this inning if you're Molina. Forget about it. Maybe establish it in the second with nobody on, or the 3rd inning with nobody on. Can't fall behind throwing another curveball right here.
1-1 to Barfield, came with a fastball, belt high right down the middle, and Josh took it. Barfield made his major league debut this season as the Padres opening day starter at second base. And now a chance to deliver big in the opening inning in game 4 of this division series. And he waits long enough on Mr. Carpenter.
I'll tell you, anxiety abounds here at Busch Stadium. They are not used to seeing this type of performance out of Chris Carpenter here in St. Louis.
The 1-2. Went for the, looked like an off-speed pitch of some kind, down and away. Seeing 2 career postseason starts against San Diego. Last year in the division series, a 3-game Cardinals week. And then game 1 in this year's division series, allowing just the 5 hits and 1 run, pitching into the 7th. Slow roller should end the inning. Next time the flip for the force play, but not before San Diego strikes for 2. Albert and company come to bat in the bottom of the 1st inning, trailing 2-0. Cardinals come to bat, bottom half of the 1st inning, trailing Chris Carpenter on the mound, 2-0. And David Eckstein to lead things off against Woody Williams. Williams, 40 years young, came to the Cardinals in 2001 from San Diego, left the Cardinals to go back to the Padres at the end of the 2004 season. He is still a very solid pitcher. Generally has a very hard time staying healthy over the full course of a season, but when he gets the ball, a 12-5 record this year and an ERA slightly above 3.5. Those are good numbers. Down the left field line and foul.
You know, Tom, there's nobody who knows Woody Williams any better than the regime here leading the St. Louis Cardinals. Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa. They go over the scouting reports of Woody Williams. They know him oh so well, pitching here in St. Louis for 4 years.
Williams did his best postseason pitching for the Cardinals, going back to 2001 against Arizona in the division series, in 02 against the Giants, against the Dodgers and Astros in 04. There's a 2-hopper at Barfield. He knocks it down and throws out Eckstein. Take a look at Tony La Russa's starting lineup. Brought to you by Hyundai. Preston Wilson will follow Eckstein. And then Albert Pujols, 5 hits and 12 at-bats. All 5 hits coming in the first 2 games of the series. Both Cardinal wins. Edmonds healthy in center field. Encarnacion in right. Belliard at second. The big change. Spezio for Rolen at third. Molina behind the plate. Carpenter on the mound. Tony La Russa seemed none too pleased about the series of events leading up to Scott Rolen not being in his lineup tonight. He kept asking Rolen day after day after day if his surgically repaired left shoulder was all right through the month of September. Rolen's a gamer, wants to play, said I'm fine. Well, the numbers clearly don't say that Rolen is fine over the second half of this year. And during the post-game conversation last night, that's when Tony La Russa learned from Rolen that the shoulder has been bothering him for quite a while.
Saying, Scott, fine's not good enough. Are you all right to play? And tonight, Scott Spezio is in place of Scott Rolen. The one Scott replaces another.
1-2 on Preston Wilson. That ball clobbered down the left field line, and it's foul.
By about 3 feet. Preston Wilson, by the way, speaking of replacements, in there for Chris Duncan, who botched up a ball in left field, misplayed another one yesterday. Chris is not a very good defensive player, but is a dynamite offensive player and is going to be for a long time to come.
And in fairness to Chris, he is a first baseman by trade.
That's right.
One and two to Wilson. Puts it the other way. This one is fair. Giles over to cut it off. Wilson a big turn and slams on the brakes with a one-out single.
Off the end of the bat, after hammering one foul down the left field line, he hits one off the end of the bat to right field. And a very nice play by Brian Giles, hustling over toward the line to cut it off and hold Wilson to a single.
Now the amazing Albert Pujols, the best all-around player in the game today, Mr. McCarver?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Not only his offensive numbers, but a superb first baseman, an excellent base runner. All facets of the game. Of course, the big one is when he has that lumber in his hands.
Pujols a .331 batter during the regular season, 49 home runs, 137 runs batted in. And he missed over 2 weeks with a strained right oblique muscle. The numbers Pujols is putting up in his first 6 years in the major leagues, unrivaled in the history of the game.
Think about that. It's never been done before, and that's saying something.
Breaking ball going away. Williams falls behind. 2 balls and no strikes. They could put that target up from foul pole to foul pole, and Pujols is more than capable of getting there.
Foul pole to foul pole. He uses all parts of the field in which to hit. And his plate coverage, I don't think I have seen. To me, that's the most fascinating thing about his attack at the plate. It's how he can keep the inside pitch off the plate fair. He doesn't hook it foul, he keeps it fair. And when he goes the other way, he keeps that fair. To Albert Pujols, the plate's about 21 inches wide. Normally, well, obviously the plate's 17 inches wide, but not for Pujols, because he can extend and put the fat part of the bat on the ball when the ball's inside, when the ball's outside.
3-0 pitch. Breaking ball in the outside corner. A good one from Williams, who has thrown Pujols nothing but curveballs in this at bat. Edmonds waits. Strike 2.
That was a backup slider, design pitch. Most hitters, right-handers from a right-hander, you can see the catcher setting up inside. You see the spin on that ball. You think it's going to be away. When it stays inside, you think it's inside. It's a very difficult pitch to decipher. Wilson going.
Breaking ball, a one-hopper down to third. And Brandon will throw high, but Gonzalo's able to get it. Advancing on to second is Wilson, but that's a big out, needless to say, for Woody Williams. Jimmy Edmonds digging in, hurting literally from head to toe. You know about the post-concussion syndrome, which caused him to miss so much time this year. Originally injured at the end of June, and then began suffering from dizziness in mid-August, and started only 4 times over the last 6 weeks of the season. He's playing with a bad shoulder and with an injured foot, but he's in the lineup.
Good breaking ball from Woody Williams. Yeah, the most painful thing I think Jim Edmonds is experiencing, those numbing shots in the ball of his foot. Went to bed last night, 1 o'clock. Foot was numb till this morning, he said. And that is his push-off foot. You often hear that about pitchers, their push-off foot. Hitters have push-off feet also.
Runner at second, 2 away, a ball and a strike on Jim Edmonds. Breaking ball just off the inside edge. Well, what a beautiful jacket that is.
Nice coat.
Such great tradition, winning baseball tradition here in St. Louis. Let's go back to June the 21st when he suffered the concussion in Chicago. Watch the head when he comes down. Right there.
Really hurt it when he hit the back of his head in the warning track. Only one, as Tom said, of an assortment of injuries for Jim Edmonds this year.
Three and one to Edmonds. Preston Wilson, the runner at second base with 2 away here in the bottom of the first inning, and Williams a slow breaking ball and swung on and missed.
Talked about it in the scouting report. Woody Williams, and the Cardinals know this. Dave Duncan, Tony La Russa is very smart. A lot of awareness on the mound. Good fielder, good hitter.
And Edmonds hit by the pitch. And now the Cardinals trying to get on the board here in the bottom of the first inning, down 2. Maybe just got a piece of the right arm.
After the breaking ball on the 3-1 count, Williams tries to come inside. Had it not hit Edmonds, it would have been ball 4. Well, he's on first base one way or the other.
Juan Encarnacion, brought in during the offseason, hit .278 during the regular year, 19 home runs, 79 batted in. First pitch breaking ball, the outside corner, strike 1.
So far, an assortment from Woody Williams. Slider to start off Encarnacion.
Wilson at second, Edmonds on at first. Another breaking ball away. Talked about the Padres, 1 for 25 with runners in scoring position the first 3 games of this series. The Cardinals have been pretty good in such situations. 6 hits in 17 at bats. Of course, all of that damage was done in the first 2 games. Nothing but breaking balls from Williams. Two on, 2 out, 2 balls and a strike. Breaking ball again, misses up and in. Well, Williams just forbids to throw a fastball to any of these Cardinal hitters.
Yeah, well, the problem with throwing too many breaking balls in a row is the breaking ball is designed to be somewhat of a surprise. If you continue to throw it, it ceases to be a surprise.
Leanne 1 on Encarnacion. 63 pitches have been thrown in this opening frame. And that's, what is it? Ball 4. Woody Williams can't believe it from home plate umpire Greg Gibson.
Here comes Darren Bosley, the pitching coach for Bruce Bochy. Or Bochy, beg your pardon. Slider missing outside. Williams thought it was a strike. He said, wow, to our camera. Looks like a replay of the top of the first. The Cardinals hope so.
And when you look at the career numbers for Ronnie Belliard against Woody Williams, you have to be scratching your head and wondering why Williams was so careful in that at bat to Encarnacion. 7 hits and 15 at bats, including 3 home runs for Belliard against Woody Williams, who now works out of the regular windup. First pitch breaking ball to Bella, called strike. Well, the crowd, they want it both ways. It doesn't work that way. Clay Hensley, who has been a dynamite starter for the Padres through the second half, getting loose. Lined into center field, and it falls in a base hit. 1 run scores, throw to the plate, cut off, and now in a rundown, but nobody's home. The runner fell down Belliard to end the inning. But the game is tied, as Belliard is now 8 for 16 against Williams, who put himself in trouble with Wilder. Ronnie Belliard came over from Cleveland and has picked up his biggest hit of his young postseason career. A 2-out game tying 2-run single. So deuce is wild as we begin the, yep, you got it, second inning. Woody Williams, Timmy mentioned earlier, very good hitter. A fastball. What do you know? 0-2.
That's that hit by Belliard on a slider. I think the first inning, both pitchers falling in love with their curveballs, breaking balls. It's understandable for a guy to love curves, but not if you're a pitcher. If you get my drift.
I'd have never picked that up. That one in the air to right field, pretty well hit. Encarnacion backing up on it. That's out number one.
Here's the hit that tied it. Belliard with the bases loaded, 2 outs. The throw by Cameron low enough to be cut by the first baseman, Gonzalez. And I'll tell you the interesting thing about this play. Belliard goes to second. Had he kept his feet, nobody's at home at first base. Encarnacion had taken off from third, so perhaps, I think more than perhaps, I think Encarnacion scores and Belliard kept his feet.
Dave Roberts struck out looking to begin the ball game. Then the Padres proceeded to single, walk. A bases loaded walk, bringing in the first run. Then a fielder's choice ground out by Cameron, a second run. Little roller out in front of the plate. Molina will have to hurry. Got it. Molina, some kind of defender behind that dish.
Really a fine play on a fast runner. No time to scoop it into the glove. Molina barehands it and throws out Roberts.
So 2 away for Brian Giles. He singled into center field and scored the first San Diego run. Each team with 2 runs, each team with 2 hits. Bouncing ball deep in the hole. Eckstein's there. Cuts it loose. Picked out of the dirt by Pujols, and Carpenter bounces back with a 1-2-3 second. Welcome back to St. Louis. Bottom half of the second inning, a 2-2 game. Leading things off here in the Cardinals' second inning is Spezio, and it's into the first row over the screen and a play. Again, Scott Spezio filling in for the injured Scott Rowland. They'd like to think, they being the Cardinals, that they could end this series tonight. Give Rowland a few days to get ready for the National League Championship Series that begins here on Fox Wednesday night at Shea Stadium in New York. But if they head to San Diego for Game 5 tomorrow, more than likely Rowland's back. On the inside corner, a strike to Spezio. Yadier Molina to follow, and then the pitcher Chris Carpenter.
Tom visiting with Willie Randolph of the Mets. The Mets, of course, clinching 3 in a row against the Dodgers yesterday before the game. Willie Randolph telling us he hopes this series goes 5 games. Not only 5 games, but 15 innings tonight, 15 innings tomorrow night. Wear them down. That's what Willie said. Use all their pitchers. Certainly an understandable sentiment from a guy who has seen as much postseason play as anybody, as a player, as a manager, as a coach for the Yankees. And our congratulations to Willie Randolph and the season that the New York Mets had. 97 wins, 3 in a row against the Dodgers.
Two and two on Spezio. Pulled foul. Spezio during the regular season at .272. But as Tony La Russa pointed out, the reason the batting average got down that low is because he was not a good pinch hitter. He excelled swinging the bat in his starts. In fact, his last 15 starts of the year, he hit over 300. Had 5 doubles, 4 home runs, and 11 RBIs. And he may have had the biggest single hit of the season on that final weekend when it looked like the Cardinals were going to lose the Central to either Houston or even Cincinnati for that matter. And he had the bases loaded pinch hit triple in the bottom of the 8th inning to get by Milwaukee 3-2.
And you were saying before the game that's the first time that's ever been done in Major League history. I didn't know that.
First time this year and the first time in 3 years any player in baseball has had a pinch hit triple with the bases loaded in a game.
Wow. Kind of understandable because most of the time guys who pinch hit are not loose enough to get triples.
Pops that one up. Left side of the infield. Brandon coming in. And he's got it. Well, the National League Championship Series begins on Wednesday here on Fox. The American League Championship Series. Surprise, surprise, the Athletics, the Western Division champions, against the Detroit Tigers. It is the wild card. Of course, those two locked up in 1972 in the American League Championship Series. The first of 3 straight trips to the World Series. All of them victorious trips for the Oakland Athletics. Yadier Molina looks at ball 1. That one drilled into right center field. It's headed for the wall. Molina in with a 1-out double.
It is so interesting to watch the head of a player when he makes contact. And you can look at the head right on the ball, and the ball predictably going to right center field. When you go the other way, you position yourself to hit the ball properly. Doesn't mean you can't handle the ball inside. That's a fine piece of hitting by a guy who struggled offensively this year.
What do you do, Timmy? You bunt here, or you let him hit?
With 1 out, you hit. Go to Hackett. You might sink a flare in somewhere.
Carpenter 9 hits in 71 at bats with a couple of runs batted in. He is a good bunter, but with 1 away, why not? Give it a go.
You know, the theory being that you already have a guy in scoring position. So take a chance on, as we said, Carpenter flaring one somewhere in front of an outfielder. And now we have action in the San Diego bullpen. It's like Clay Hensley.
Second time he's been up in the game already. Hensley really the odd man out. And if you just go by the numbers, many could argue he should have been on the inside rather than the outside in terms of getting a start in this series. Breaking ball is too low. Hensley made 29 starts during the regular season for San Diego. Was an 11-game winner and had an ERA of 3.17. He pitched nearly 200 innings. Carpenter hanging around, still at 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Woody Williams, an interesting choice and a curious choice for Bruce Bochy. The other choice tonight could have been Jake Peavy, but if the Padres win tonight, Peavy will be the starter tomorrow in San Diego.
Carpenter gone on strikes, the first of the game by Williams, 2 away.
Bruce making a good point with us before the game. He said we've got to win 2 games anyway. So that's why he elected to start Williams tonight and then Peavy with an extra day's rest tomorrow if the Padres win.
Two game, runner at second base for David Eckstein. Eckstein bounced out to the second baseman Josh Barfield in the opening inning. Strike 1. Sean Estes has had to sit out nearly the entire year. They were counting on him as a left-hander in that rotation this season. Fly fly ball. Center field should in the inning. And it will. End of 2. Tied at 2. Well, for that little one, a late night. But they're raised to love Cardinal baseball. Not only in this city, but this entire region of the country. And especially if you have ducats to a postseason game. Little one staying up late tonight.
Oh, yeah.
School, forget about it. 0-1 to Adrian Gonzalez. Up and away, a ball and a strike. Heart of the order against Carpenter here in the San Diego third in a 2-2 game. Gonzalez, Josh Bard, and Russell Branyan. 3 consecutive left-handed batters. Gonzalez is one of those guys you really have to watch play every day to fully appreciate how talented he is, both at the plate and in the field. You see the Padres team leader in just about every category that matters. And he is some kind of slick down at first.
You know who he reminds me of? Rafael Palmeiro from a third base shot. Similar hands, where he holds his hands. A very quiet approach.
Two and two.
Quiet approach until that ball gets about 5 feet from home plate, and then those hands explode. Very, very impressive young hitter.
Then it gets real loud.
Yeah.
Carpenter rocks, kicks, and delivers the 2-2. And tardy again as Gonzalez on a fastball. And apparently the Cardinal scouting report says we're going to challenge this guy with fastballs.
I think that's what Carpenter's done since the first inning. He was missing with all those curveballs. Second inning, he came out through all but one fastball. Same thing to Gonzalez.
Hold at Poole. We'd like to welcome in the third member of our broadcast team here tonight. Say hello to Ken Rosenthal. And Kenny, it could be a long 24 to 48 hours for the Cardinals depending on tonight's outcome.
Absolutely, Tom. There's a very powerful incentive for the Cardinals to close out this series tonight, and it's their potential travel schedule. If there's a Game 5, the Cardinals will fly tomorrow morning to San Diego, land at about 11:30 Pacific. They then would play at 5 Pacific, and if they won, they'd get back on a plane, fly all night to New York, get in at about 6:30 Eastern with a workout later that day. The Padres, of course, would love to play themselves into that same predicament. They're going to get on a plane tonight regardless, and they're hoping it's not simply to begin their offseason. Guys?
Well, you're not lying about that. Padres closed so strong in that National League West. For that matter, so too did the Dodgers. But the Padres officially clinching the Western Division title the final day of the year on an extremely controversial call for the final out of the game in Arizona. Swung on and fouled out of play. And if you don't think that was a big call, consider your choices. If you win the West, you open the playoffs at home and play a Cardinal team that came limping into the postseason. If you're the wild card, you go to Shea Stadium. In short right field, it's Belliard, and he throws out Bard. Nicely done.
Yeah, you see a lot of second basemen who will play that deeply against guys on which you put a shift. A guy like Jason Giambi or David Ortiz. But Belliard likes to play off the infield dirt for a lot of left-handed hitters. And I would imagine and think that Belliard plays deeper than any other second baseman in the National League. He's on the grass again for Russell Branyan.
6 in a row set down by Chris Carpenter. Breaking ball in there at the knees, a called strike.
When a second baseman plays that deep with a left-handed hitter up, and he would only do it with a left-handed hitter up, you know his range is not as good to play shallow.
But Timmy, I guess if you have the arm, Why not?
That's exactly right. He's got a good arm and not as much range as most second basemen. So he can play deep and make those plays with that strong arm.
He'll have another chance in short right field, but this time with his glove.
Belliard playing deep, but not deep enough. It's a base hit for Russell Branyan.
One on, 2 men out for Mike Cameron. He drove in a run with a fielder's choice ground ball to the shortstop Eckstein. His only time up. Fastball in there, a strike. Fastball away. Pretty close. One and one on Mike Cameron. Breaking ball in there, a called strike. Cameron for the 6th time in his career, a 2020 season. Got 22 home runs, 25 stolen bases, and another Gold Glove-like year in center field for Mike Cameron. A very nice addition to this San Diego team. Struck him out. Carpenter's second of the night. One hit, one left, middle of the 3rd. In game 4, a 2-2 affair. First pitch swinging in the Cardinal 3rd is Preston Wilson. And he pops it up to the second baseman Barfield. 1 pitch and 1 out. Well, all the men and women on our Fox crew pretty much look like that when they wake up every morning this time of year. Long days and nights for everybody that brings you postseason baseball here on Fox. And all the technical folks that are traveling coast to coast, working all hours of the night. We can't thank them enough for all their hard work. The best in the business. A privilege to be with each and every one of them. 1-0 on Albert Pujols, representing the go-ahead run here in the St. Louis 3rd inning. And Williams falls behind 2-0. Curveball after curveball in the first at bat to Pujols. Wound up getting him on a one hopper down to Russell Branyan at third base. 3-0. Three and one to Albert Pujols, looking for something to hammer on this pitch from Williams. Hit it off the end of the bat. Giles will have room. How strong is Pujols? For most hitters, you hit it that far off the end of the bat, and it'll be caught in medium depth right field.
That's what we're talking about earlier, about the way he expands the plate. That pitch about 3 inches outside, off the end of the bat, and drives Giles to the middle of the warning track. That is awesome strength right there, folks.
Of course, the Padres are saying let him flex his muscles all he wants. He's 0 for 2.
Right.
Jim Edmonds hit by a pitch in the opening inning and wound up scoring the second run of the 2 that scored in the first inning after San Diego had jumped in front 2-0 against Carpenter in the top of the first. 2-0 fastball, and Edmonds late. 2 balls and a strike.
That's a sign of how many breaking balls he's been throwing, because Cardinal hitters, even when they're behind or ahead in the count, I beg your pardon, can't get around on the fastball.
Into center field, a base hit by Jim Edmonds. You know, you really have to admire, though, the toughness being displayed by Edmonds, Timmy. I think in the conversation you and I had with him down in the Cardinal dugout before the game, he's not saying it, but you can tell he's just not quite right.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people talk about, you know, a little bit of Hollywood and Jim Edmonds and all those kind of things, but he is playing in a lot of pain right now.
Yeah, nothing Hollywood about what's happened to Jim Edmonds this year with the problem we talked about, his left shoulder, the post-concussion syndrome, and his left foot. As you said, from head to toe.
Juan Encarnacion walked, which loaded the bases for Ronnie Belliard in the first inning. And there's a one-hopper down to Branyan. He'll go the short way, and that's that. A hit, a man left. End of 3 in Game 4, a 2-2 contest. 3 hits for San Diego, 2 runs, 4 hits for St. Louis. Deep way to the moon here tonight. Well, that's a beautiful picture.
Oh, I'll say.
Game 4 in this National League Division Series. San Diego trying to get back to Petco Park one more time. That would be tomorrow night. And if they play tomorrow night, we'll have it for you right here beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific.
Was it not Bob Brinley who had the line, our pal Bob Brinley, about the St. Louis Arch? Did you ever hear that line?
I don't think so. I got tired of his material years ago.
Bob, I believe it was Bob who said that the arch is so big that there's a huge guy with a mallet.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Trying to hit a ball under that arch, and you should see the size of that ball. Well, there it is.
Our old buddy Bob Brenly. I'm allowed to beat up on him. He and I were partners for so many years in the broadcast booth. He's here in St. Louis all the time these days as a broadcaster with the Cubs. And there it is.
Got to see how big that mallet is.
Pujols just had it in his hands a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
1-2 to count on Jeff Blum. He'll be followed by Josh Barfield and then Woody Williams in the San Diego 4th inning. Both sides scoring a pair in the opening frame. Very quiet ever since. Only one base runner in the last 2 innings for San Diego. That was Russell Branyan, who had a 2-out single in the 3rd. The Cardinals have had base runners in every inning. Carpenter trying to attack Blum with fastballs in, and that one missed. 3-2.
Well, Jeff is a good low ball hitter, and pitchers try to pitch low ball hitters inside. The reason for that, low ball hitters have slower bats than high ball hitters.
That one was down, but pulled to the right side. And Blum thrown out by Belliard to open the 4th. Barfield left 2 on in the 1st inning when he hit a bouncing ball to David Eckstein for a force play. Yesterday, of course, the first postseason game played in this new Busch Stadium, which opened this April. And we were there for the final game ever played at the old Busch Stadium last October. Game 6 of the National League Championship Series when the Astros knocked off the Redbirds.
Behind the strong right arm of Roy Oswalt.
Fly ball to center field by Barfield. 2 gone. Houston waited a little bit too long this season to make that hard charge at the end. Maybe about a week late.
Gained eight games on the Cardinals in 8 days.
Woody Williams, a two-hopper to Eckstein, and Carpenter has his second 1-2-3 inning of the night. After 3.5 in St. Louis, still tied at 2. Woody Williams cuts loose the first pitch here in the bottom half of the 4th inning, and a slow roller by Belliard to the shortstop Blum. And just like that, one gone. We caught up with San Diego pitching coach Darren Balsley in between innings.
Darren, what do you see from Woody Williams so far?
Well, in the first inning there, he got kind of locked into his breaking ball, perhaps threw a few too many, but he seems to have rebounded now. And, you know, in the first, the thing that really got him in trouble wasn't so much his pitch selection. It was the intention, I mean, not the intentional walk, the base on balls and Encarnacion there, and the when he hit Jimmy Edmonds. So the guy's pitch kind of up a little bit there, but it seems like he's rebounded well. Pitching
like hitting, a game of constant adjustment.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and he's one of the best at it. That's why he's been around for so long, and he stays hard in the game plan. He'll adjust.
Any concern about his pitch count right now, Darren?
No, I don't think so, and I don't think he's concerned about it either. He just has to work on throwing strike one and getting quick outs.
Jake Peavy, is he here today or did he fly back?
He's here. He didn't want to miss this. He wants to be with the boys here, and you know, I'm sure he'll get sleep on the plane flight tonight. He'll be all right.
Thanks for the time.
Okay, guys. Thanks.
And we thank Darren Balsley for his time in between innings. We'll catch up with Tony La Russa in just a little while. This is some kind of San Diego pitching team. By far the #1 pitching team in the National League this season. Allowed the second fewest runs in baseball, second only to the Tigers. A 1-2-3 inning for Williams. And we'll be back after a word from your local Fox station. Top of the order for the top of the 5th. In a 2-2 game for the San Diego Padres, Dave Roberts to lead things off, followed by Brian Giles and then Adrian Gonzalez. A quiet night so far for Roberts, who had 6 hits in the first 3 games of this series, 0 for 2 tonight. Breaking ball in there, strike 2. A very, very quiet crowd tonight here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Roberts slaps it into left field. It will fall in front of the left fielder out there, Wilson, but he made a nice play to keep that ball in front of him. If it gets by him, that's 3 bases.
Yeah, Wilson playing Dave Roberts shallow. Did not get a good jump on the ball, however, but you're right, Tom. Had that ball gotten by Preston, and Roberts has a double or a triple. A real threat to run. 49 stolen bases, caught only 6 times.
It's a tough combination to run against, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Breaking ball, a strike to Brian Giles.
Sometimes you pick a pitch. If you can't run against a tandem like Carpenter, who holds the runners on well, and Yadier Molina, who has a good throwing arm, you pick a soft pitch, a curveball, changeup.
It was Dave Roberts who had arguably the biggest stolen base in the history of the Boston Red Sox. Timmy, you were there that night, game 4 of that league championship series 2 years ago.
Everybody in the baseball world knew he was running against Mariano Rivera. He did, and scored on a single by Bill Miller to tie it in the 9th inning. A game won by the Red Sox later, and they went on to win 3 more, and then 4 more against the Cardinals.
He does take a breaking ball to go on, and is still thrown out.
Wow. What a throw. What a throw. If this throw is not on the left corner of the bag and from the knee to the shoe, No way to get him. Quick tag by Eckstein. And a marvelous throw by Yadi Molina. Boy, that was big time right there.
Well, Bruce Bochy told us before the game it is nearly impossible to steal against the duo of Carpenter and Molina. But it did take, as you said, Tim, a perfect throw.
Molina used to making perfect throws, but even on the breaking ball. Those of you, who may not know why the breaking ball, well, the breaking ball takes longer to get to home plate. It's a slower pitch. So the slower the pitch, the faster the runner, the tougher it is to throw him out. Here it is again. See the bend in the breaking ball and the throw, the powerful arm of Molina, and the quick tag by Eckstein.
Strike 3 called on the inside edge, and Giles disagrees. A comebacker.
Tailing fastball. That's the player's kid about that pitch. They call it the antiperspirant fastball. Those arms go up, and the ball right around the letters to get Brian Giles. I like that term.
Oh, yeah. Now Adrian Gonzalez with 2 down and nobody on. A bouncing ball to the right side. And Carpenter will get to the bag and takes the throw from Belliard. A leadoff single by Roberts. And trying to get into scoring position. Shot down by Molina. Two runs, 4 hits for San Diego. 2 runs, 4 hits for St. Louis. The Padres have stranded 4. The Redbirds have left 3. This is game 4 of a National League Division Series. Cardinals trying to close it out, leading 2-1. Pitcher against pitcher, and both have been very good since bumpy opening innings. Carpenter allowed 2 runs, walked 3 batters in the first. Woody Williams hit a batter, walked a batter, allowed a game-tying 2-out, 2-run single by Ronnie Belliard. But it's been very quiet ever since. Still 1-2 on Chris Carpenter.
Tom, I think both pitchers have mirrored one another tonight. Too many breaking balls in the first inning. Both resorting to more fastballs since then, and much better luck. They can talk about the breaking ball behind in the count.
Breaking ball there. Branyan backs up, plenty of time, and throws out Carpenter. We caught up with Cardinal pitching coach Dave Duncan in between innings a moment ago.
Hey, Dave, Tim McCarver and Tom Brenneman in the booth. That was some throw on a breaking ball by Yadi Molina.
Yeah, I've gotten some of the most unbelievable times on Yadi all season long. I've never got a catcher's times like I've got his. I've actually got him in the 1/6s.
Wow.
So far, your starter tonight, Chris Carpenter. A little shaky at the start, Dave, but has made nice adjustments.
Well, I think the ground ball up the middle and then the blue pit guys on base right away, and I think he was trying to be maybe a little bit too careful and not just taking advantage of his great stuff.
Thanks for the time, David.
You bet.
Popped up by David Eckstein. Barfield calling off all comers. Squeezes it tightly for the second out here in the Cardinal 5th. The St. Louis Cardinals in the last half inning, Timmy, they swing at 3 pitches to make 3 outs. And now Carpenter goes 4 pitches into at bat. Eckstein out on the first pitch.
Yep, the only Cardinal 2 runs have been scored on that base hit by Ronnie Belliard. See if Wilson takes one here. Nope.
First pitch swinging, popped up in a short right field. Giles has got it, and we march on to the 6th. Padres 2, Cardinals 2. And a 5 here at Busch Stadium. A 2-2 game in game 4 of this National League Division Series. Josh Bard to lead things off. A breaking ball is low from Chris Carpenter. Timmy, a moment ago, Dave Duncan was talking about the times of Yadier Molina. He's referring to the amount of time it takes him to do what?
To release his throw. 1.6. Normally, I guess an average catcher, depending on where the pitch is, takes about 1.8, 1.9 seconds. Not quite 2 seconds to get rid of the ball.
Base hit left field off the bat of Boyd.
So 1.6 is almost unheard of, and that's why Dave Duncan on the throw by Molina to second base is just amazed. That was about when the ball hits the mitt, it takes 1.6 seconds to get rid of it. Of course, that pitch was up, and it's easier to throw on balls that are up because that's where your arms are.
And Timmy, what you're doing is you're playing mathematics.
Right.
How long it takes the runner to actually run from a stopwatch standpoint from first to second base.
Right.
Then you have to gauge that against the time that the pitcher takes to release the ball,
right,
getting it to home plate, and then the numbers when the catcher gets it of throwing it to second base.
Well, and often it depends whether a runner is out or not, depends on whether the throw is up from the pitcher, whether the pitch to handle is up. And that's why Molina had such a, you talk about jump of a runner. Catchers have good jumps when they throw to second, too, and Molina did.
Going away to Russell Branyan. Leadoff man aboard for the Padres here in the top half of the 6th inning. Mike Cameron to follow. Branyan has been on base twice tonight. Drew a bases loaded walk to bring in the first run of the game in the 1st inning, and then singled into right field his last time up. Got jammed with a fastball and pops it up. Molina runs out of room.
See Molina drifting, and the ball in the first row behind home plate.
Fellow wearing a jersey from your hometown, Memphis.
Memphis, all right. About 290 miles south of here, right on the river.
Old Tim McCarver Stadium.
Thing has a lot of weeds now.
Oh, just foul. Well, then that means you and the stadium have a lot in common. There it is, Memphis.
Oh, that's great.
You know I'm kidding you, Parker.
Oh, I love it. Listen.
You put it on a tee, you got to take a hack.
You got to take a hack.
Swing hard in case you hit it.
That one was 290 right down the middle.
2-2. Strike 3 called, no debate about it.
That's that tailing fastball again from Carpenter. He got Giles in it last inning, and now he gets Branyan for the first out in the 6th.
This part of the batting order is really where Bruce Bochy faces very much a dilemma in a tie game when you're trying to make something happen. You have back-to-back hitters in Branyan and Cameron that strike out or swing and miss so much that you're really rolling the dice by trying to start a runner.
Well, it's tough also to have back-to-back hits, and that leads to multi-run innings. Back-to-back hits with a walk sandwiched in there, and that's when you get your 2, 3, 4-run innings.
Precisely how they got him against Carpenter in the first inning.
Yeah, and that's right. And it's very difficult to do that with the type lineup that the Padres have. It's the characteristics of their lineup. It's not conducive to scoring multi-run innings.
Only 3 teams in the National League during the regular season scored fewer runs than San Diego. They were a team that would get on a pretty good run, pile up runs maybe over about 5, 6, 7 days, and then get very quiet for 5, 6, 7 days. The 2-0 fastball, and very late was Cameron.
Molina looking over. La Russa giving signs.
Two 1 to Cameron. Is blowing away 3 balls and a strike.
Signs he may give Molina, or pitch out. Certainly not going to pitch out with the count 2 balls and a strike. But he'll have Carpenter step off or have him throw to first base. That's why the game has changed. The speed has slowed down the game in an ironic twist.
Again, a hitter's count. And Cameron, a good hitter, got a fastball. And again, he's tardy.
Yeah, I don't think you send the runner right here. I mean, the score dictates you do, but the hitter and the runner don't. You got a guy who strikes out a lot. He struck out his last time up, a slow runner at first base. And that, to me, is what determines whether you're going to send the runner or not. I don't think he goes here.
3-2 to count on Mike Cameron. Runner's not going. And he chased the pitch up for strike 3.
Mike Cameron, a good low ball hitter, and Chris Carpenter taking advantage of it. It was a ball out of the strike zone. Chris served it up there, and Mike took the bait.
That brings Jeff Blum to the plate. He's drawn a walk and bounced out to the second baseman, Belliard. A leadoff single in this 6th inning by Bard. And he's still planted over there next to Poole. A breaking ball misses the leg. Popped up and playable. Left side of the infield for Spezio. A leadoff single. And 0 after that. Albert Pujols to start things in the Redbirds 6. Edmonds to follow in a 2-2 game. Albert Pujols hitless in his first 2 at-bats tonight. Looks at ball 1 as he leads off the bottom of the 6th inning. A 2-2 contest. 2-0 on Pujols, who's found himself ahead in the count 2-0 in every at-bat tonight. He bounced to third in the first inning and flied out to the wall in right field in the third. It's a good 2-0 pitch.
Albert Pujols finds himself ahead in the count more than any other hitter in baseball, with the possible exception of Barry Bonds.
3-1 pitch up coming to Pujols in a tie game, bottom of the 6th inning. Throw him a fastball.
Yeah.
And it misses down low. So a leadoff walk given to Pujols, who had 7 stolen bases in 9 attempts during the regular year. Time to turn our attention to our Verizon game summary. San Diego 4 total runs in the first 3 games of this series, scored twice in the opening inning. But Belliard tied the game on a bases loaded 2-out 2-run single. And Pujols is hitless in his last 6 at-bats.
But perhaps a key leadoff walk here in the 6th inning.
So one thing about Pujols, he may not run frequently, but he will get you the big stolen base.
He'll also go from first to third with very, very good instincts.
Got Clay Meredith getting loose in the bullpen. Had an ERA of under 1 this year for San Diego.
Notice Bruce Bochy had Clay Hensley up earlier. When a pitcher gets up in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings, they're more like the second starter. But now you're at a different point in the game. That's why Meredith is up in the 6th inning.
Fly ball off the bat of Edmonds. And Pujols forcing the left fielder Roberts to make a throw. You never know. Very headsy players, Pujols, not only blessed with just extraordinary talent, but he is always in the game. Maybe you force Roberts to throw one by the cutoff man, then he can take off.
Sure.
Juan Encarnacion walked in the first inning and bounced into a fielder's choice, ending the third.
I had a flashback when I saw Pujols tag up there. Pete Rose was the best base runner that I had ever seen on balls hit to the left side of the outfield, because he always took a wide turn. And I asked him once, I said, why do you take such a wide turn? We were teammates in 1979. And Pete said, how many times have you ever seen the left fielder throw behind the runner at first? I said, never. He said, that's my point. He said, you can almost go halfway if you want to.
Great point.
That was Pete Rose.
Yep, that was Pete Rose. Boy, for those of us that grew up in Cincinnati, it breaks your heart to watch Pete Rose now.
I know it.
It really does. This would be a better game if somehow, some way he were back in it. But that's a long ways away.
If ever.
1-1 account on Encarnacion. Go ahead, run at first. Breaking ball down the right field line towards the corner. Fair ball. Giles just getting to it. They're going to wave around Pujols. Here comes the throw from right field. The Cardinals have the lead. For Encarnacion, that's the first time in a postseason game he has a base hit at home.
To drive in a run. 0 for 19 prior to that hit. That covers the 2003 Marlins as Pujols is going to score. Well, we take you back to that conversation we had with the pitching coach of the Padres, Darren Balsey, saying that Woody Williams in trouble with his breaking ball early in the game. What does Encarnacion hit? A high curveball. Probably the worst pitch that Woody's thrown the whole game.
It will be the last pitch he's thrown the whole game. Looks like Bruce Bochy's going to make a double switch somewhere. You would assume at the shortstop position and bring in Khalil Green. Let's go back to that pitch, though, that Encarnacion drove into right field.
You can see the elevation. Whenever a curveball is right there, catchers don't catch it. Hitters hit it, and I mean hard.
Runner at third, infield in. The Cardinals have taken a 3-2 lead on a walk to Pujols and a double by Juan Encarnacion. And now taking over on the mound is right-hander Clay Meredith. He came over from Boston on May the 1st with Josh Bard for Doug Mirabelli. Had the lowest ERA among all National League relievers. And held opposing batters to a league best 170 batting average. What a year for Meredith. Belliard, the batter. Takes away 2 balls and no strike.
There are few right-handers in baseball that are as tough on right-handed hitters as Clay Meredith. When he drops down, right-handers have a tendency to bail out a bit. 33 1/3 scoreless inning streak during the season.
And ran from July the 18th to September the 12th. It set a Padres franchise record by a starter or reliever, surpassing the great Randy Jones, who had the previous mark of 30 innings set back in 1980. 2-1 pitch. Belliard swung so hard he almost fell down.
Almost slipped on the plate. Watch the back foot of Belliard.
Well, nothing about the swing with Belliard would lead you to believe that he's just trying to drive in the run. He's swinging from his heels. Maybe trying to drive in two. Again, a 2-2 pitch. And he's hit the back.
Everybody booing, but no way. There's Meredith trying to hit Belliard with a slider that backs up and hits him on the rump. Hey, here's a good spot for a hit and run. And the reason is you stay out of the double play. Normally, you don't put the hit and run on to stay out of a double play. You put it on to get the runner to third base. But here, if you stay out of the double play, you score a run. So you got a ground ball pitcher, a contact hitter. The speed of the runner at first doesn't matter. So it's a good time somewhere in this process to send the runner.
And we know Tony La Russa likes to do just that.
Right.
Strike one. Spezio's put the bat on the ball in each of his first two at-bats. Just popped up to third and bounced out to Gonzalez. Foul away. Some of the younger generation, Timmy tells me that thing under his lip is called an Imperial. And he has it dyed Cardinal red. And somebody's making a buck off an Imperial.
It's the American way.
Oh-2. Grounded foul. To the count. Just missed off the outside corner. So the Cardinals have taken their first lead of the game. A leadoff walk to Pujols in the 6th inning. One out later, he scores on a double by Juan Encarnacion. That Imperial catching on here in St. Louis. And the Imperial man delivers with a base hit to bring in Encarnacion. Spezio has been so clutch so often this year.
In our opening tonight, we talked about how Prince Albert needed help from his kingdom. Well, he's gotten it from Encarnacion and the Imperial Spezio.
Close the book on Woody Williams. All 4 runs charged to him in 5 1/3 innings. All 4 runs earned runs. And now Yadier Molina in there, a strike. So Meredith, who's been nothing shy of sensational during the regular season until the final week of the regular season, has come on, hit a batter, and allowed a single to Spezio to drive in the second run of the inning. 0-2. A few bodies beginning to stir in that Cardinal bullpen for the first time all night. No one yet get loose, but a few guys pacing around. Into right field, another hit. They're going to hold the runner at third as Giles throws a 2-hopper to the plate. So another 2-strike base hit against Meredith, and they are loaded for Chris Carpenter, who will bat with a 2-run lead here in the bottom of the 6th.
2-run lead and only 1 out. Jose Oquendo, the third base coach, had no other choice to hold Belliard at third base. Brian Giles' throw right on the money. And even with the pitcher coming up, Belliard held at third. Tony La Russa will squeeze with the pitcher often. It's something to keep in mind. Again, Meredith, a very, very difficult pitcher to hit, but an easier pitcher to bunt.
Clay Hensley up again. Late swing there by Carpenter, who had 2 RBIs during the regular season. Brandon will come to the plate. His throw is wide.
Sometimes you throw in this situation to the first base side of home plate because you're trying to avoid the runner. Branyan had to get rid of the ball quickly. Belliard a good jump at third, and an errant throw allows the Cardinals to extend their lead.
Squeeze by Eckstein to perfection.
If you're the runner at third, you can't break too quickly. You don't want to give it away. Eckstein, as good as there is in the business, at the squeeze bunt.
What a great time to call it by Tony La Russa.
Yep.
You brought up the name earlier, Bob Brenly. And he learned from Roger Craig, outstanding manager for many years with the Giants. But the best time to put on a play like that is when the other team seems to be a little bit rattled, a lot going on.
Floundering.
And clearly that throw that should have been an out at the plate had San Diego a little out of kilter, and then on the very next pitch, bang, put down the squeeze.
First time I ever heard that was from Bobby Cox of the Atlanta Braves, saying much the same thing. When there's consternation, the opposition, a bad call at second base, something confrontational that's going on in the field, a bad throw as there was there, put on the squeeze.
1-2 on Preston Wilson, the 9th man to bat in what has been a 4-run Cardinals 6th inning. RBIs by Encarnacion, Spezio, Carpenter, and the squeeze by Eckstein. We go to the 7th inning in Game 4, a 4-run Cardinal lead, and we're back after a break from your local Fox station. Six-2 ball game, St. Louis in front, 9 outs away from advancing to the National League Championship Series for what would be a 3rd consecutive season. The Padres faithful remembering Chris Carpenter's final start of the regular year, when Carpenter had a 4-run lead late in the game and San Diego came back to beat him. Zoom ball there from Carpenter. Mercy.
Zoom ball under the chin.
San Diego had a 4-run 7th inning on September the 26th to beat Carpenter in a 7-5 win.
Padre fans would love a reprise of that.
That's not the way to get it started. Barfield thrown out by Eckstein. For more on Chris Carpenter, let's check in once again with Ken Rosenthal.
Guys, you remember on the final day of the season, with the division title still up for grabs, Tony La Russa actually scratched Chris Carpenter. And he did it because he knew that at worst, the Cardinals would need to win just one of the next 3 games. That day's game in the season finale, the next day in a potential makeup against the Giants, or the day after that in a potential playoff with the Houston Astros. As it turned out, the Cardinals lost the finale without Carpenter, but the Astros also lost, enabling the Cardinals to win the division title, and it all set up perfectly. They got Chris Carpenter to start 2 of the first 4 games of the division series, and here they are with a commanding lead.
Great stuff, Ken. Thank you very much. And Tony La Russa, that was a very wise move, it turned out. Khalil Green is first at bat, a dart into the glove of Encarnacion. Carpenter has hit the century mark on his pitch count. Tony La Russa took a lot of heat from the local media for leaving Carpenter in that game against San Diego. Pitch count got up to close to 120 for Carpenter, but that was in 7 innings. There's 2 outs in the 7th inning tonight, and that's pitch number 101 to Dave Roberts for strike 1. This kid is some kind of pitcher.
Cy Young Award winner last year and could be again this year.
Tapper over the mound. Billiard knows who's running. He'll charge that ball and throw out Roberts. They stand and cheer Carpenter, the Cardinal ace. A 1-2-3 7th inning. The Cardinals 6 outs away from the LCS. Take a look at our Nissan game summary. The Cardinals breaking a 2-2 tie with 4 runs in the 6th inning. It all started on a leadoff walk to Albert Pujols. Chris Carpenter, dynamite again. And the winner of this series, of course, will head to Shea Stadium in New York and begin the National League Championship Series Wednesday night. We'll have it for you here on Fox. The American League Championship Series starts in Oakland, California. The Detroit Tigers against the Oakland Athletics. That starts Tuesday. Hensley still getting loose. Clay Meredith will begin the bottom of the 7th inning. And again, it's Pujols to lead things off as he did in the 6th. Already so many memorable hits in the postseason for Albert Pujols. And the Cardinals here tonight, without Pujols getting a hit, have scored 6 times. That was not the story the first 3 games. If he hit, they scored. If he didn't, they didn't.
Tommy, what was not in that clip was a shot that you called last year at Minute Maid Park in Houston. The home run off Brad Lidge. And there have been few postseason highlights that were as exciting as that stunning blow off Lidge.
I was there and I still can't believe it. I've never heard a room as Pujols has gone on strikes go from being so loud to so quiet. You have to remember, for those of you that weren't with us, that crowd was ready to celebrate the Houston Astros' first ever trip to the World Series. It was bedlam in that ballpark. And then Albert Pujols would later say after the game, it got so quiet he could hear his feet hitting the dirt as he rounded the bases.
What a great line, and no doubt true. So the trip to the World Series was delayed as the Astros won the next game. We talked about it earlier behind Roy Oswalt. But nonetheless, a riveting moment in postseason history. The home run by Pujols off Lidge.
Some might say that Brad Lidge has never been the same since. I'll still take it.
Oh, in a second.
All day, every day.
In a second. He'd be my stopper, my closer, all of the above. Thank you.
Encarnacion has been on base twice. He broke the 2-2 tie with a double to score Pujols into 6. Take a look ahead to the top of the 8th inning. It'll be Brian Giles, Adrian Gonzalez, and then Josh Bard. Again, the American League Championship Series beginning on Fox Tuesday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Game 1 likely starters will be Nate Robertson, who was the Game 1 starter in the American League Division Series against the New York Yankees. Barry Zito will get the ball for Oakland, and Meredith mows him down in order. We're going to the 8th inning at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Cardinals 6, Padres 2.
Shall we raise our shields, Captain?
At ease, Mr. Chekhov. Again with the shields. I wish he'd just relax and enjoy the amazing picture clarity of the DirecTV HD we just hooked up. With what Starfleet just ponied up for this big screen TV, settling for cable would be illogical. What? I can't use that line?
For picture quality that beats cable, you've got to get DirecTV.
Chris Carpenter toes the rubber as we begin the 8th inning. A breaking ball in there, strike 1 to Brian Giles. This is the inning the Padres clearly are thinking about trying to get something started. Big hitters in the lineup, starting with Giles, Gonzalez, Bard. They have pretty good weapons on the bench, including Mike Piazza. The left-hander Johnson, the right-hander Kenny, warming in the St. Louis bullpen. And Giles, a bleeder into right field. That'll fall in a hit. It certainly bears repeating. It may have been the 7th inning, but only a week and a half ago, the San Diego Padres came back from 4 runs down to beat Chris Carpenter. Can they do it again? If they don't, the season is over.
Well, certainly a possibility, but Carpenter has been a gathering storm since that first inning. Only 4 base runners for the Padres.
There's a bullet into right center field off the bat of Gonzalez. On his way to third is Giles, so here come the Padres. Runners on the corners with nobody out.
And the first time since the first inning that the Padres have had 2 consecutive hits.
By the same 2 guys.
Right. Nobody out here, making it that much more dangerous, and Tony La Russa will make a move.
Carpenter, the ace. Not only in this Cardinal rotation, maybe in the entire National League. And another big league effort by Carpenter tonight. Chris Carpenter leaves after allowing back-to-back hits to Giles and Gonzalez to start this 8th inning. Mike Piazza's moved in the on-deck circle. Josh Bard will turn around to bat right-handed against the 27-year-old rookie left-hander, Josh Kinney. Spent 5 years in the Cardinals minor league system, then went to the Independent League, the Frontier League, located in St. Charles, Missouri, pitching for the River City Rascals. All right. And here he is pitching in Game 4 of a National League Division Series. Oh, I beg your pardon. It was Johnson who came on, and not Kenny. Johnson, the left-hander. Struck out a couple of batters when he came into the ball game on Tuesday, a hold in the game.
Good breaking ball, a sweeping breaking ball. Reason for that, he drops down and doesn't stay. There's Josh Kenny.
I beg your pardon. Mr. Johnson and Mr. Kenny. 1-2 pitch. Oh. So close.
That breaking ball appeared to stay outside. Watch Molina. If he reaches to his right, it's outside. He does, and it did.
2-2 on Josh Bard. Came with a breaking ball, got him swinging. That is a vicious breaking ball.
Good sweeping breaking ball to get Bard.
Mike Piazza announced as the pinch hitter. Now they do have the aforementioned Mr. Kenny getting loose in the bullpen, a right-hander. He's ready. And here comes Tony La Russa.
When Tony La Russa takes his glasses off, the pitcher in the bullpen's coming in the ball game.
A job well done by Tyler Johnson.
When you think about it, Tyler Johnson got two guys out. Josh Bard on a strikeout and Russell Branyan out of the game.
And now Johnson is out of the game. And we've already told you everything you need to know about Josh Kenny. He's in the game with 2 on and 1 out.
Oh, River Rats. All right.
And he's facing Mike Piazza, who does bat for Branyan. Breaking ball in the outside corner, called strike.
Good slider from Kenny immediately to Piazza. Mike, a better low ball hitter at this point in his career. Again, you don't have to be as quick on the ball down.
Another breaking ball, this one off the outside edge.
Very, very close, but outside.
Piazza in 399 at bats this season, hit .283. 22 home runs, 68 runs batted in. Runners on the corners with 1 out. Outside and low. Bruce Bochy wasn't sure what Piazza had left. When you play in opposite divisions, you only meet 6 times a year now with the unbalanced schedule. And he calls Piazza the most unselfish, team-oriented superstar he has ever been around.
That is high, accurate praise.
Indeed. So Piazza came to the Padres and was willing to do anything the manager asked him to do at any time. 2-2 pitch. Ground ball. This could be 2. There's 1. And that's a double play. Downtown St. Louis, Missouri. Bottom of the 8th inning. Mark Bellhorn takes over at third base for Russell Branyan. And Clay Hensley, a solid starter in the San Diego rotation. After initially beginning this season pitching out of their bullpen, runs 1 high and tight to Belliard. 6 runs, 7 hits for St. Louis, 2 runs, 7 hits for San Diego. The ball finds Bellhorn, and he throws out Belliard. So we take a peek ahead to League Championship Series play beginning here on Fox, your exclusive home for both League Championship Series and the World Series. The Detroit Tigers under Jim Leyland against the Oakland Athletics. It should be some kind of series between the Tigers and the A's. If you like young pitching, really good, oftentimes great young pitching, then that series is for you.
With an older pitcher like Kenny Rogers peppered in, the paprika of the Detroit Tigers staff.
Well, you know both those ballparks will be jumping. It's been a while for each franchise. The Tigers have not been to a League Championship Series since 1987. The last time the A's went there, Tony La Russa was their manager in 1992. The St. Louis closer, Adam Wainwright, cranking it up in the bullpen. Nate Robertson in game one. We mentioned Barry Zito gets the ball for Oakland. Zito, a free agent at the end of the year. It will be nearly impossible for the Athletics to be able to bring him back in the kind of dollars that he will command. But Billy Beane, the general manager, listened to offers from so many teams around baseball and said, we're hanging on and giving it one shot. On the ground is short. And we are on our way to the ninth. Wainwright will get the ball. And the Cardinals are trying to go to the League Championship Series for a third consecutive year. Tony La Russa handing the ball to Adam Wainwright. He took over as the closer when Jason Isringhausen was lost for the year, undergoing hip surgery again. This is not a safe situation with a 4-run lead, but that doesn't mean anything. This is pitching to try and get your team to the LCS.
Stakes are a lot higher than a save.
Sharp breaking ball, knee high outside corner, 1-2 to Mike Cameron. One away. Time for our Holiday Inn look again. Play of the game brought to you by Holiday Inn, the official hotel for Major League Baseball. We look back to Game 5 of the 2000 National League Championship Series when Mike Hampton went the distance and sending the Cardinals home and the Mets to the World Series.
Mike Hampton went the distance with Mike Piazza catching that night.
You remember that well.
Certainly do.
Mets won their first pennant since 1986. The Mets eliminated the Dodgers 3-0. And the Cardinals trying to make it 3-1 over San Diego. Ryan Plesko in what will be unquestionably his final at bat as a member of the San Diego Padres, and once one of the feared sluggers in the game, but injuries have taken their toll through the last couple of seasons. Missed the entire year until the final 2 weeks this year. There you get a look at Isringhausen talking with Jeff Suppan. It's a shame that Isringhausen is unavailable for this postseason.
Jason's surgery on his left hip a month and a half ago, and Wainwright has taken over as the Cardinal closer.
Plesko swings and fouls it out of play. 3 balls, 2 strikes. We also saw Scott Rowland down in the dugout there a minute ago. You got to believe an extra couple of days, and he'll be ready for the league championship series. Plesko again fouling off a pitch.
Against a heavily favored New York Met team. The Mets would be heavily favored against either of these teams. Mets won the season series against the Cardinals 4-2.
That ball drilled by Plesko in the straightaway center field and over the head of Jim Edmonds. And Plesko pulls up into second base. Plesko swung the bat so well in literally only a handful of at-bats the final week of the season that Bruce Bochy said we got to put him on the postseason roster. Our Chevrolet player of the game is Chris Carpenter. In recognition of his outstanding performance, Chevrolet makes a $1,000 contribution to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Chevy, an American Revolution. And the Cardinal ace gave up 2 runs, walked 3 batters in the first inning, and after that allowed a total of 5 base hits, no runs. Breaking ball in there, a strike to Josh Barfield. A betting man may have lost a lot of money when trying to figure out this series and the way the two teams came into this series, ending the regular season. St. Louis was right on the brink of the single greatest late season collapse in the history of baseball. Yep. It would have forever erased the memories of the Phillies. There's a base hit into center field. And they're going to hold Ryan Plesko at third base. When you're down by 4 runs, no reason to take the chance. So now the Padres are the proverbial bloop and a blast away from tying this game.
Well, that blast is going to have to come from Dave Roberts or Brian Giles. The bloop's going to have to come from Khalil Green.
You know, you take a look at some of the recent teams and how they finished the regular season and then how they fared in the playoffs. Well, how about the White Sox last year? They nearly lost the Central Division title to the Cleveland Indians. Went down to the final weekend series. 7 games under 500. The last 2 months overall won the World Series. The Tigers, 12 games under their last 50. And dominated the Yankees after a Game 1 loss. And how about these Cardinals? Losers of 9 out of 12 to end the year. We're under 500 the last couple of months. Yet here they are, 2 outs away from advancing. Khalil Green, a lot of pop in that bat. Wainwright ran a fastball in on him, and Green behind 0-2. Well, you can understand why Carpenter's pacing around down there.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he sat down over the last 2 innings.
To Khalil Green. Breaking ball for strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
And good night. Pulls the shades down to Khalil Green. A curveball not dissimilar from Chris Carpenter.
Padres only 2 for 31 during this division series with runners in scoring position. 2 for 31.
Wow.
Not over yet. Dave Roberts about it. 1 of 4 in the game. In the air and out of play. Two on the breaking ball. Garfield takes second base. And now the Padres down to their final strike. The foul ball.
Boy, that was close.
Very.
Dave Roberts almost kicked that ball when it was in fair territory. If a batter makes contact with a batted ball, it's got to be in foul territory. And watch how close this is. Ooh. Hits it with his right foot. Just foul. Just foul.
Still 0-2. Tony La Russa trying to get the St. Louis Cardinals to the league championship series for the 6th time. Fastball up and in. 2-2 on Roberts. Cardinals lost in '96 LCS. Lost again in 2000. Defeated 4-1 in '02 by the Giants. Beat the Astros in 7 in '04. Lost to the Astros in 6 last year. Pitch. Breaking ball on the ground, the Pools, and for the 3rd straight year, the St. Louis Cardinals advance to the National League Championship Series. This season, Tim McCarver, the St. Louis Cardinals will go in as overwhelming underdogs.
No question about it. This crowd tonight going from anxiety and gloom to glee here after the game as the Cardinals clinch it again and head to New York tomorrow afternoon, work out on Tuesday, and meet the New York Mets on Wednesday night.
And again, a very disappointing series in the postseason for San Diego.
Especially they're hitting with runners in scoring position. 2 for 32. 2 for 32.
Chris Carpenter winning each of his starts in this division series. And they celebrate in the Cardinal dugout. That's an ace. That's an ace. And for a change, they didn't have to ride the broad shoulders and back of Albert Pujols tonight. Yes, he drew a walk and scored a run, but 0 for 3. And yet the Redbirds score 6 times.
Once again, Prince Albert had some help from the kingdom.
For the first season of the new Busch Stadium, an opening round win in this National League Division Series. And for the 4th time in the last 5 years, there will be an LCS in St. Louis. Let's send it downstairs to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Tom. We're here with Chris Carpenter. Chris, rocky first inning, 3 walks, 2 runs. How did you settle down?
You know, I came out trying to do a little too much, and, you know, I was able to get out of that. With just the 2 runs, we come back and get the 2 in the bottom to tie it back up, which makes it a whole new ball game. I went out there, I was relaxed, went back to my sinker, my curveball, hitting locations, keeping the ball down, getting ground balls, and made some nice defensive plays. It was a great game all around. I mean, I can't say enough about this team.
What was your reaction when Tony scratched on the final day of the regular season?
You know, I do what he tells me. I take the ball when he gives it to me, and I just, you know, that's his decision. That's what they took. They took that risk, and it obviously worked out nicely.
What about the Mets, Chris? You face them in the next series.
Obviously a quality ball club. They've got a great lineup, you know, but we're going to enjoy tonight, and we'll start dealing with the Mets tomorrow.
Thank you, Chris Carpenter.
Right.
Tom, back to you.
All right, Kenny, thank you very much. So the celebration will commence shortly for the St. Louis Cardinals. Even Fred Bird will take part in all the festivities. But, Tim, it really is amazing the swing for the St. Louis Cardinals here over the last really 7, 8, 9 days, when it looked like they might not even get to the playoffs without a collapse of epic proportions. I mean, it was a state of panic here in St. Louis a week and a half ago.
No question about it. I think that was one of the reasons for the early anxiety of the crowd tonight. They weren't quite sure of this team, but they're sure they're going to go to the next round after tonight's win.
And we wish you and Joe Buck and your entire crew the best of luck in the LCS, my friend.
And the same to you and Steve Lyons and Lou Piniella.
And Luis Gonzalez will be joining you for the LCS. 6-2 our final. Congratulations to the St. Louis Cardinals. They're off to the LCS. Our coverage continues after this commercial break with Jeannie and Kevin in the Fox Network Center. We'll see you Tuesday night in Oakland.